Hello and welcome back to SJ Cartier Limited Convos. Yeah, follow me on Instagram as well, SJ Cartier Limited, and keep up to date with what I do for my little small business as a young UK reseller. Young, I say I'm 37, but young in heart. So today I'm actually going to go into some of the issues I've actually had when I was an eBay seller, which will hopefully help new eBay sellers and existing eBay sellers in the future in how to protect themselves as sellers. And I've even added one or two little things to keep an eye out for if you are a buyer on eBay, because I know it's tough being a buyer and a seller. And with some of these issues, I'm also going to explain what I've done to actually overcome these, in sense of implementing things into my business, as well as when this issue occurred and what I went on to do. So first of all, I'm going to go into, as I actually watched someone's YouTube video, I think it was yesterday, on they actually had their eBay account closed. They were saying they had over 30 grand in eBay sales a month. Give you a clap for that. That's very good. Like to see that a month on www.sjcartierlimited.com, but we'll get their patience. But they had their eBay store closed due to actual non-delivery of items. So I think they said they had over 3,000, 2,000 customers, and of these customers, there was about 10. So I think it comes to like 0.05% or 0.5% of their orders were reported as non-delivery. Now, as me starting out on eBay, I did have a couple items shown as non-delivery, and for me, and this is where I'm going to give a big up to Royal Mail, to be extremely honest, because I've tested a few varying delivery companies, and I've tested them with UK and international sales, and I've realised Royal Mail are the only actual efficient and reliable service to be trusted, whether that's UK or shipping abroad even. And you have to consider Royal Mail is a UK company, so they work via the post office, but Royal Mail also don't have no like other locations around the world. It's UPS, and it's called, that's their universal post service. So every like country has their own designated company that works for the post office, and Royal Mail work with each one of them varying around the country. So when they do dispatch to another country, it goes to USPS, or any of the other varying shipping brands out there. Pardon me on the lot. But I realised they had their shop closed after how many sales due to 10 non-deliveries. And for me, it was happening to me, and I was realising, Royal Mail are very reliable, as I'm saying. This seems a bit weird to me. So I started adding signed tracking onto my orders, and I started to realise that, funnily enough, when I added signed tracking, the non-delivery of items stopped. So for any new eBay seller or even a buyer, look for eBay tracked now, because there is actually, not eBay tracked, Royal Mail tracked, because there's actually a Royal Mail track service now that helps customers and sellers track an item to where it was delivered with a photo proof, or it can be tracked because it's been tracked, and they will be able to work out which post office delivery man, and he'll be able to try and remember the route and understand where he delivered and whether he delivered a parcel, because they do the same routes. So with Royal Mail's reliability, if you are sending tracked on eBay as an eBay seller, you will find that your non-delivery of items will slowly decrease to zero. And that's not to say that raw mail and 100% always going to deliver items. Things do happen. I have been through times where things do happen, where items have been redirected when they've arrived in another country. I've had issues within UK delivery where the sorting office hasn't sorted the things because there was a strike previously. But on a normal day-to-day service, raw mail work efficiently, and their mail, if it's tracked 24 or tracked 48, usually arrives there within that time on 99% of the occasion. If it hasn't arrived there on that time, it will be backdated by a day or so. And if it hasn't, other than that, the only other option then it may be as an eBay seller or even as a business seller is to check with your local post office where you dispatched it to make sure that the item has been actually left its actual location. So to avoid any non-delivery on items, use tracked delivery. I go that extra step. I actually use tracked and signed delivery because I feel like it just adds that extra security that it has been delivered and someone has signed for it from the signature, even if it's a scribble. It gives an understanding of what it could, who it could be, and where it could be. So it just helps that extra security as a seller. And even if you have to add that extra 50 pence or pound onto an item to facilitate this, it is more reliable for your business to do that than to take the risk and have no returns and then suddenly, like this person I watched, lose your entire shop and have to now find another method. Another issue I had, which I've seen a few people have issues with, is item return for not as described. So what I done to counteract that, I added all conditions to all product listings, whether there was I even started because I was selling a lot of like vintage, I was selling a lot of comics, selling a lot of DVDs, I was selling a lot of toys, selling a variety of things, and at that time, even my DVDs and my Blu-rays, I took a picture of the front and back of the case, and I took a picture of the actual disc itself, because I realised some people will try and say one little mark that may have been actually noticeable on the picture if you zoomed in possibly, and they possibly could have zoomed in and realised this is a way to get a partial refund. They may actually use any kind of description that you have left as not described, and they will use it and try to ask you for a partial refund. I have found when a lot of eBay buyers ask you for a partial refund, it may be better to set up a policy where if they are not happy with the item, they pay for the shipping comes back to you, and the full refund comes back to them. But I realised taking loads of pictures of your item, adding as many attributes and key factors to your product to make sure the buyer understands what they are buying, the condition they are buying, and add as many details if there is any kind of mark scuffs to make the buyer aware of any issues. If you do all these things and the buyer is unhappy, it is now their return due to not wanting the item or not happy with the item, because they can't return it for item not as described, because the fault or the issue they are saying it has not been described, it has been described. And also with regards another person, what I saw talking about, they sold a pair of trainers and the item was returned as an item not described, and when they received the trainers were a different colour and obviously now worn when they sent them a brand new pair. So now obviously item not as described can't, because the item you received, which you sent, is now completely different when it's been returned. So you have to kind of make sure you add every description in there, take as many pictures as possible, make the buyer aware of what the product is in as many ways as possible, and that will protect you as an eBay seller from anyone that is trying to return your item for a partial refund on a lot of occasions because it hasn't been described correctly. And you will also realize when you tell them that you aren't offering a partial refund and you explain to them where this was described or show them in the picture where it was described, you will realize a lot of customers, when they realize they may have to actually pay for the shipping, if they are really unhappy with the item, some people will send the item back. But if they are really trying to just get a partial refund, you will realize they were actually happy with the item because they examined the item already and they were just trying to get a little bit of money back because they understood how eBay works. Change mine returns. I realize you can get a lot of returns also. As you realize as well, a lot of the issues come down to returns basically. So yeah, another one, changed mind returns. So for me as a small business, paying for shipping does cost a lot when you are shipping a lot of orders, especially when you consider your packaging items, the packaging of the items that you have to, the items packaging to ship the items. So when you consider all these things, a return shipping an item that you have paid, you've got to think you've used packaging for, you've paid a shipping to ship the item to a customer who then just decides they want to change their mind can become detrimental to a small business. It can also become detrimental to a large business, but they may not see it as much, or how to put it, they may not see the impact as quick as you would as a small business. So for me, I implemented a system where if you change your mind, you have 30 days to return the item in the exact same condition, because we've took as many pictures, we've described it, we've put all the faults, we've took all the serial numbers, we've written them down for our own notes, we've done all of this, so we know what the item is when it's returned. If you are not happy with the item and you return it in the exact same condition that it was sent to you in, then you can get a refund. But to get the refund, I implemented that you must pay for shipping if you have not examined the item and you have not, and now you decided you don't want it. Because packaging, as we say, costs, the shipping postage costs. We can't go back to raw mail and say, oh, the buyer returned the item, could I get a refund? We can't do that. We can't say to the buyer, send us back the packaging and we'll reuse it. Yes, reusing, recycling is good, but when you're a business, it's best you use the recycling methods and buy recycled packaging. That way your packaging is going back into a recycled method and you are buying recycled packaging, so you know you are still looking after the community. But for a business wise to go and get that, re-tape up old packaging, you can't do it. So that's another cost. And that's all because a buyer decided they wanted to buy and just don't want the item. Whether they said they purchased it by accident, whether they said their child purchased it, whether they said it's not the right item that they thought it was in the first place, whether they said delivery took too long, even though for me that's not an option because I like to ship immediately. But they could say, oh, you dispatched a bit late, I brought another one. They could say they found a cheaper one elsewhere. There's many reasons why people may say they want to change their mind, and they're fully well in their rights to change their mind. But when it comes to me shipping that order as a business, you need to make sure you implement that they have to pay for return shipping on changes of mind, because it will also lower the rate of that happening to you, because they realize in your listing, if they are not happy with the purchase, especially with clothes, you may find that with clothes that it's possible, because people may want to get the clothes, try wear it for one day and try send it as if they don't want it. It's a possibility. So to help that, you at least say they have to pay for the shipping, and at least that way they at least have to think about the loss that they may have to take. So that is how I implemented that into my business, to help from people just buying items and then claiming that they've changed their mind. When people have messaged after I've sent the item, because as I say, I like to do fast dispatch, and they've said they've changed their mind, that's where my rule also comes in, because it saves people also doing that. And once it's been dispatched at rail mail, it can't come, you can't go and collect it back, it has to go to the actual person on the destination. Non-payments and late payments. Anyone that is an eBay seller who actually does auctions as well, or even just lists buy now, best offers, anytime someone has purchased an item and won it via an auction and they have not paid for that item, it is one of the biggest annoyances possibly going. Because for me as well, especially when you pay for bought an item, I'm like getting that item immediately. If I'm able to get that item immediately, I'm getting it immediately, getting it ready, packaging it up, ready for you. Especially when I was on eBay, because I knew some people didn't pay immediately compared to where on my website. If you want an item, you pay, or you use PayPal Pay Later or Klarna Pay, but either which way, I'm receiving a payment now before I even understand there's an order. So it's easier for me to now order comes in, I just get packaging. But on eBay, you will find people will pay for an item or make an offer for an item and win the item and not make payment immediately, or not make payment at all. And it's a frustration, because that item could have sold to an actual customer who's looking for it now. The item could have sold for even more. The item could have been with the customer now, and you could have received your funds and invested it elsewhere. That item now actually has to be relisted as if it's a new product and lose all the views that it had gained previously. So it will now become a new product, even though it's the same listing, just being relisted. It also messes up the sync of that product on eBay, because it is now a relisted item that has now not sold. It also shows, even though it may not seem like it, it also causes an issue for your eBay account, as it's like a sold that is now unsold. So now it's like if you're not getting regular sales, a couple non-payments is okay. But if you've got 10 sales a week and 2-3 of them are non-payments, it's like the algorithm, the AI of eBay now as well, it's not going to really be pushing your eBay shop to the right customers. It's going to be pushing the ones that are getting regular customers daily. So to counteract that, I started messaging people immediately on eBay when they have made a purchase to say thank you for your purchase. I will get your item dispatched as soon as possible, as soon as payment has been made. I will do that again after another 2 days if payment hasn't been made, and then after the 3rd day, 4th day, I will start putting in a report for this buyer, if I haven't received any response, that is. And the reasons for this is, we want to protect other buyers from shill bidding, from buying items that they are unsure of, or making a statement for an item and then not following through, and losing a product listing for you that could have sold. So you could have lost an actual customer that could have come back regularly, and they've just gone and took the item out of your shop. So by reporting this, you allow other regular people that use accounts for this to be notified by eBay, and it will also end up with those accounts being removed, which then protects other sellers and also helps buyers to get what they want and not miss out on an item when they have it to someone that has also now non-paid. And one for the sellers, the buyers now, when you're on eBay, I will always say, understand eBay as your buyers and sellers understand eBay. And this is something as a seller as well. It's something as a buyer as well, but it's something as a seller. Always understand eBay as a buyer and understand eBay as a seller. Because when you understand eBay when you're a seller and you understand eBay from a buyer's perspective, you understand what they expect and what you should be doing to get no returns or have no negative feedback from your buyers. When you understand that service that you need to uphold, you will make sure everything is done. So your pictures, your descriptions will be done, because then you understand they may return for no descriptions. You understand late deliveries, late shipping dispatches can impact your eBay shop, your eBay store. You understand negative feedback can impact your store. So the aim is to gain as much positive feedback for your store by doing all the things that the customers expect and stopping anything that they may want to complain or have something to say to eBay about. It's not what they may say to you, it's what they will say to eBay about that may result in either a refund to them and they keep the item, or a downgrade on your account for something that is not actually your fault and actually is just one of those buyers. We've all had them. So key thing is, if you are selling, understand eBay as a buyer, and it will make you as an eBay seller stronger. And when you as an eBay buyer understand eBay sellers' roles, you will also be able to understand which eBay sellers are worthwhile supporting, because you will be able to know what to look out for and not just go by what you see maybe promoted in front of your eyes. And something also to look out for as a buyer, which may help you understand where to buy from sometimes, is when you are looking for an item, it is always good to comp what you are buying. Obviously, when you are comping, you don't just comp prices, you comp condition, you comp the service, you comp the business, you comp the actual products that each business is selling. Because you could buy the same iPhone 13 from two different shops, but one may have a scratch on the screen, one may have a cut on the corner. They both may be brand new, but one may be O2, one may be 3. There's always something literally different about each one because they are individual products. So always look at each image. And when you start looking at each product that is available, you will start to understand which ones are stock images and which ones are actual product images. If it is a well-recognized business, then stock images are understood because they may be drop shipping, so they don't have the product there. But if you are buying from a normal seller that has the product or claims to have the product there, then you will realize if you see that same picture in more than one place, this person had multiple selling accounts. And if someone has multiple selling accounts, you need to consider why. And if that is the type of person that you may want to go and support over the person who's got one listing, it's up to you, to be honest. But for me, I would say anyone with multiple accounts selling the same product, the exact same one, they haven't got multiple on each product, on each shop. It's only one, but they've got the listing 5, 10, 20 times. Then I would say avoid that shop. They're untrustworthy. That's my little opinion, a little keynote for you as a buyer. And then you'd be able to work out who are the honest eBay sellers from the ones that are just trying to control and take over the eBay, and the ones that would be using those multiple accounts to use to set up returns. So you have to stay safe as a buyer, you have to stay safe as a seller, but if you understand how to stay safe as a buyer, you'll be stronger as a seller. If you understand how to stay safe as a seller, you'll understand how to be safe when buying. So I hope these little key tips helped you today, and I'll just go over the quick key tips just to round off. To save yourself from non-delivery and late delivery, opt for tracked services, try to stick with Royal Mail, and if you feel you have it in your capabilities to pay that extra 30 pence, 50 pence for that extra signed shipping, then do so for the customer. Item not described for returns. The best option for you to do is to take as many pictures, add as many descriptions, add as many faults, and explain the product you are selling to your full capacity. For change the mind returns, I would recommend that you add changed of mind, that the buyer pays for the return shipping and they will get a refund, and possibly, depending on your balance and how you feel comfortable, you could even add a percentage of reduction when on eBay for restocking, because you now have to restock this item and you have lost out on packaging materials as well as your original shipping cost. For people making purchases saying it's accidental or someone else done it, or they just don't want to buy it now, they found something cheap or whatever reason, do always report them. I understand everybody does make mistakes, but with eBay, I will say it's not like an easy mistake to make. You have to search for the product, you have to click the product, you have to scroll up and down, you have to click a button or fingerprint or put in a password to make a payment. There's a lot of decision making you have to make to get to that product before you press pay or purchase. So as an adult who is able to maintain their phone and what they are doing, and I'm not saying some people don't do it, because some people may have purchased the wrong thing accidentally. They thought it was something, thought it was cheap, purchased it, realised, oh, it's the wrong one. It's possible. But just report them, because if it's someone that does it repeatedly, that will help eBay with their algorithm to shut these accounts down, which will stop these non-payments, these shill bidding on auctions. Study eBay as a buyer and a seller. When you study eBay from a seller's point of view, you will become a better buyer, and when you study eBay from a buyer's point of view, you become a better seller. And finally, when you are searching to buy products, do look at each product individually. Do check the market for comps of the product prices, each image, each seller, and understand where you buy from each time. So yeah, thank you for joining SJ Cartier Limited Combos, and I hope you like this little eBay recap.